Hello, everybody. This is Charles Alvarez. Welcome once again to another podcast. I am joined today by Maureen McCann with Spartan Invest, and I'm really excited to have her on as our guest. And Maureen, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Charles. I'm very grateful for the invitation and the opportunity to share a little bit with you and your clientele, your audience, your listeners. So it's a delight. I'm just very excited to be here. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do so. I really appreciate it. So, tell us a little bit about you and kind of your history, your background, and how you got to Spartan Invest.
It's a fun road. So if anyone is out there who's ever wanted to start their own business but never did, that would be me, right? I was a W-2 wage earner for a really long time, 15 years in the medical device and pharmaceutical sales world. And I spent a lot of time, I call it drive time, windshield time. A lot of windshield time driving around. And I live in Southern California, and there's these beautiful homes. If anyone's ever been to Southern California, you've ever been to La Jolla, you will see that there's these beautiful homes that look over the picturesque Pacific Ocean. And I remember just driving around as a drug rep, making, I don't know, $150,000 a year or whatever it was with benefits, things like that. And I'm like, what did I want to live up there? How do I don't like, I want to live up there. What do they know that I don't know?
Right.
And that's what started off my quest and really my financial education, because up until that point, there was no financial education in the US education system. Wonder why. And that's a whole nother topic. But I just started wanting to really, I guess I had an epiphany. The epiphany was two things happened at the same time. One was my parents were set to retire. These were children from the age of the Depression, right? So very scarce mindset, which they, unbeknownst to them, imparted on me, which I realized was not the best mindset. Don't blame them at all whatsoever. They were just operating with what they knew. And they subscribe to the idea of debt is bad, stay with one job, make sure you have a pension, stay loyal to that company for 30 years, be responsible with credit cards, don't overspend. And so it was a very sort of confined, restrictive, um scarce way of living.
Right.
And so that was the first thing that happened was the market crashed right before my parents were set to retire, and they either had a choice to continue working or live off less. And they decided to live off less. So my first epiphany was, I am not doing anything different retirement wise than they are. I bought into the 401k, which is a myth that if you put money in and your company matches, right, and it earns consistently year after year 8%, then I'm going to have this big bundle of money that I can live off of for the rest of my life. Well, that was myth number one, debunked. And then what I found was that uh, being in the corporate world, um, and then getting into management, I realized that when the higher ups give you the amount of money that they're going to disperse, that you as the manager have to disperse to your team based off of their performance, it's a very small amount that they have to divide up between, there was 10 of us on the team. So it didn't matter how hard you worked or what you achieved or what extra you did, you were still limited to the 1 to 2%, maybe 3% if we had a good year, right? Increase in your base pay, which did not exceed inflation. And so if to call it 2% year after year, and inflation, call it, well, it's high now, right? But back at the time, it was a little bit higher than what I was earning. I was staying on the rat wheel. So those two things, or the rat race, I should say. So those two things kind of converged at the same time. And that's when I started becoming a seminar junkie. I am the girl that went to all the free
Oh,
seminars
that's cool.
to real estate, but never did anything because I had the mindset of I can figure this out. I don't need a coach. I don't need a mentor. How many of us have been there? There's probably still some of you listening that are like, I can still figure it out on my own. But coaching allowed me to accelerate my learning, avoid some of the mistakes by some of my coaches who made them and taught me how to avoid those pitfalls. And I just, here's what I did. If you guys really want to know the truth, is as a drug rep, My doctors, I've been to drug rep for a long time, and my doctors hate talking to you about the same drug that you've been pushing for the last 6 years,
Right.
and they want something new to talk about. And I had started implementing some of my learnings from my webinars that I went to, and I started buying real estate out of state. I live in California, and I started buying my first properties in Memphis, Tennessee. I then had an idea, and I thought, you know what? If it's working for me, why don't I host an event on a Saturday, invite my doctors and their spouses, and then the company that I had purchased two investment properties from 19 years ago, I had asked them, would you guys be willing to come out and talk to my group of physicians if I put a room of people together? I'll pay for it all, right? So it was out of my own personal pocket. And that weekend concluded with 10 sales.
That's amazing.
Um, and so my call that a $700 investment for the hotel, my ex-husband, I call him the husband. He had got me.
That is so cool.
He was and he has been. He is a was been.
That is awesome.
So he got me a discount on the room, but nonetheless, it was $700 investment for me. And what that led to was the company that I had invited to speak at my event. It's also the same company that I purchased properties from. They invited me to join their team, and I did.
That's amazing.
That's
What
how
a
it
cool
started.
story. What a cool story. No, it was interesting. When I first got out of school, I worked for Accenture. And I remember I worked 100-hour weeks. And I remember at the end of the year, they said, well, the company, you did a great job. We'll give you a band one, but the company hasn't done so great. So you're only going to get a 5% raise. I'm like, wow. So it's always interesting how entrepreneurs always have their aha moment. And it sounds like you had a very, very similar moment with your parents.
Yeah, because I was like, I am not doing anything different. Like if the world sneezes, something in the global economy changes, the stock market dips, I have no control over that. And if I'm
Right.
at 65, I'm knocking on the door of retirement. And that happens right before I'm supposed to, just like it happened to my parents. I have no control.
That's
And
right.
that was my wake up. And I was like, if I were to do things differently, I probably would have never put money in the market, honestly. I probably would have done everything in a variety of different real estate, commercial, residential, multifamily, parking structures, laundry, whatever. I just would have been in hard assets versus the whims of the market.
Correct. Makes sense. So tell me a little bit about, your business, what you do. I mean, I could tell a little bit about what you do just based upon your introduction, but tell me a little bit about, what type of properties, what type of business you have, and kind of more about what you do and how you go about doing it.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of Spartan Invest. We established it in 2010, so a 15-year history. Most companies don't make it the first 5 years. We
Right.
actually made the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the US 8 consecutive years in a row.
Wow.
It's just one of those. We just have a great culture. We put A talent people on the team who deliver A talent results. And what we do very simply is we cater to the very busy professional who wants to diversify into real estate, but just doesn't have the time, right? They're coaching little league, they're raising kids, they've got their marriage, they're going to church, they're doing their extracurricular activities, weekend warrior stuff. And it's just very little time for them to diversify. And financial advisors, I love you all, nothing against you, but financial advisors, they earn based off of what their assets under
Right.
management and what products that they can sell. So it's not their fault. They're just trying to make a living too, but they're usually not directing investors to look at alternative investments, whether it's crypto, agriculture, cannabis, real estate, right? Because they want to keep the assets under management so they can make more.
Right.
And so we decided, my business partners and I, we decided we wanted to make investing in single family rental property very easy for the busy professional.
That's
And
so
so
cool.
thank you. And so we simply, in a nutshell, we buy distressed single family assets in the Southeast, predominantly Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia. Looking at Kentucky and the Carolinas to expand markets, but we're not there yet. And so we buy the distressed asset, we do a quality renovation, place a qualified resident in the property, do the ongoing management for the investor, And then I like to say we wash, rinse, and repeat, like that old Fabergé commercial, which I'm dating myself. Um, wash, rinse, and repeat, and just help investors build a portfolio to get to the monthly passive income goal that they want in the future.
How much does a typical investor invest, and what would you recommend?
So we have really, it's all, no one has to be accredited. You just need to be pre-approved with a lender. A lot of people think that they're excluded. They're like, nope, if you want to buy a property, you can buy a property as long as you've got the capital. I usually tell investors if you've got anywhere from 30 to $50,000, you can get into your first property with us. We have rehabbed houses as well as brand new construction. So we do the build to rents as well. We also sell to the owner occupant. Here's what's crazy, depending on where you live in the world. You can actually buy a brand new home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2 car attached garage, call it 1,600 square feet plus, for less than $300,000
Wow,
in Alabama, 270 to 290 to be exact.
that's
So,
cool. And so tell me about your exit strategy. So somebody invests with you. I mean, obviously there's cash flows, I'm assuming along the way. What
mhm.
is your typical exit strategy? What's typically the cash on cash return for your properties?
So our average has been anywhere between 9 and 12% cash on cash.
That's great.
Um, and that's actually even before some of the specials that we have going on and promos that we have. One of which, and I know by the time this airs, because it's evergreen, right? Someone could watch it next year. They're like, where's that 0% property management fee for the first year and the waived leasing fee? That's for the end of the year 2025, right? So if an investor purchases a property before the end, it closes before December 31st, then Spartan will give them 0% property management fees for the year, and then we'll waive the leasing fee.
I see.
So then that 9 to 12 that I just mentioned, it gets pushed up a little bit higher. But again, that's only for a year. So it will revert back to our standard property management fee of 9%. But if someone's looking for where can I put my capital, where can I gain a return, a cash on cash return that's above 10%, and I want to put it in a hard asset with a reputable company, I got you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm assuming there's an exit somewhere down the line. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about investors exiting.
Correct.
Correct. Yes. So I would tell you most of because we're long-term buy and hold, most investors don't sell.
Okay.
The reason that they do liquidate sometimes is because of life occurrences, divorce,
Right.
disease, disability, someone got cancer, and they need the money from the assets to pay for treatment. I could tell you a lot of stories of why people liquidate. Some people start out with the single families, then they want to exchange into bigger projects like apartment buildings, maybe 10 or 50 units, because it's easier to start off with a little, $30,000 down payment to get into one property, wash, rinse, and repeat, build a portfolio of call it 10, and then they exchange them into a bigger property. So they do that as well. We do help investors on the exit. Sometimes we buy properties back.
Okay. Oh, so
But
it's their property. It's their, is
oh
that,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a
You're make,
private sale.
you're
Mhm.
making the money on the management fee, I'm assuming, correct?
That's why we're building the company, right? The residual income, we all want residual income. We're helping investors do that for themselves and their families and for generational wealth, pass that along. And we're doing the same exact thing, just doing steroids. We just want it fair.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So really the investor wins because you're getting the cash on cash return. They have a real asset, and then you win because you're getting the property management.
They also win too, and this is for a lot of investors kind of, and this was honestly, this was my limited vision. But now with 19 years of experience, I see the bigger picture. It's not just the cash flow that cash flow is not the only way that you earn by holding real estate. There's actually 5 ways. And I broke this down yesterday to a gentleman, brand new investor. And he's so cute, just he's new and he's trying to figure this out. And he was really just focused on the cash flow. And I'm like, yes, that is what we're doing this for long term. But don't overlook the 4 other ways that real estate pays us. And that is through appreciation, which is a big one. Honestly, if anyone's owned real estate here, your own primary residence, depending on where you live, especially between 2019 and 2022. There were double-digit returns on your just on the capital appreciation or equity growth in your properties, right? So imagine holding, I don't know, let's just pick the magic number of 10 single family rental properties. You hold them for 10 years, they appreciate 3 to 5% year after year. That compounds. That's a big way of earning money.
For sure.
So
Sure. And
appreciation
it's
is
backed
one.
and it's backed by a real asset.
It is. So appreciation is one, cash flow is two, principal reduction. You've got someone else paying down your debt. That's
Yep.
giving you more equity position in that property. So principal reduction. Some people use the term amortization. I've never understood that term, honestly. Principal reduction makes sense to me, people. So that's what I'm going with. And then there's all the tax benefits through either the depreciation, which is a standard right across the board, or you can accelerate it through a cost segregation study.
Yep.
And then you've got the bonus depreciation, which is 100% for this year. Thank you to the new administration for that. It's a great way to save. You can write off the interest on your mortgages that you take out. So there's a lot of ways that you can earn on the tax side, tax benefits.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, if somebody wanted to learn more about you and your company and that we're interested in investing, what is the best way for them to do so?
We have a very strong presence online, and SpartanInvest.com is the best way to reach us. You can read us, you can read about who we are, what we do. You can meet our team. Everyone's got a bio, years of experience, what their role is. You can find, I hate the picture, I hate my picture online. I keep trying to get them to redo it. I'm like, can we get a different one, please? But you can find me there and just reach out. I mean, if any, I always say the way that we approach, I just know how I feel. Like I don't really like pushy people. I don't like salespeople. I
Yeah.
like education,
Yeah.
right? Tell me just if you're looking for how do I do this? How do I start? What are the pitfalls? How do I avoid the pitfalls? If I'm looking at a different market that Spartan's not in, and you want some guidance, someone that has 19 years of experience to say, hey, this is a really good company, or this is a good marketing company, which is code. So, right? So it's not just about, picking up the phone and going, oh, they're going to try to pitch me and sell me. It's like, hey, what do you need? Why
Yeah.
are you on the phone with me? What's your long-term goal, vision, and plan? What's your timeline? What's your starting capital? What are your fears? What's been holding you back? Right? All of that is what takes place on the first call. And then it's like, if we can help, great. If we can't help, then there's someone else that if they're looking for raw land or looking for multifamily, then I have got a network of resources that I can connect that individual to help them along their real estate journey.
Very cool. Is there a website that people can learn more, Maureen?
Yeah, so www.spartaninvest.com.
www.spartaninvest.com. Hey, I love your approach. It's very unique and very cool on how you do it. And you're giving people a really easy way to invest in real estate without having to do all the bird dog and all that stuff. So, Maureen, thank you so much for being on our call. I appreciate you.
Yeah, if they don't want to have to find it, fund it, renovate it, make sure the contractor doesn't take their money, make sure the money doesn't go to another project, do the screening, collect it, handle the work orders, handle the complaints, right? All of that, we do all of that, and we just send the investor a check each
That's
month.
awesome. You make it easy. Maureen, thank you so much for being our guest on our show. This was absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate it. Keep up the good work and thank you for what you do. And it's always intrigues me how people get into business. And yours is fantastic, which is you do not want to rely on something you cannot control to benefit you in the long term. So thank you so much for being a guest on our show. I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you right back for allowing me this opportunity and inviting me on to your podcast. So thank you so much, Charles. You're a gem.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate you, Maureen.
You bet.